Welcome to the Workplace Wellbeing Essentials series. I'm Mari Ryan. I'm the CEO and founder of Advancing Wellness. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this well-being expert interview, where we explore topics that impact employee well-being. My guest today is Whitney Austin Gray. Whitney is the Senior Vice President at Delos. At Delos, Whitney leads research and development of innovation strategies that seek to improve human health and well-being through building design. She's an adjunct assistant professor at the Georgetown University, and Whitney received her PhD from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health and was the first public health professional to become LEED AP certified. Whitney, welcome. I'm so delighted to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is going to be a fun conversation. So I'm excited to explore with you a little bit about the work that you do, which is at the intersection of health and well-being and building design. So let's begin by talking a little bit about how is it that the industry that focuses on building design has come to be interested in the health and well-being of the occupants of those buildings that they build and design?
So we need them is the answer. Dr. Richard Jackson, along with Dr. Howie Frumkin, published a book on designing healthy places. And in it, they said that architects, designers, planners may have a greater impact on the future of the public's health than physicians.
Wow.
And that's a really powerful statement, and I absolutely can support that with research as well, because when we look at the 4 determinants of health in this country, those are access to care, we look at genetics, we look at the behaviors, as well as the environment. And a lot of people think that those are equally weighted. They think your genetics will actually be a huge component of how long you'll live. And in reality, 70% of what causes chronic disease conditions is caused by the environment and behavior. So that's huge. And who are environmental experts? We think that the design professionals are environmental experts. When we look at the workplace and we think about human resource professionals, they can be behavior experts because they're helping to influence how people are living healthier lives in the office and performing at their highest level. The message here is that we really need our professionals outside of public health to help us really design and create healthier social and physical environments.
So in the last couple of years, so we're talking about how, all of these elements are coming into play at, so the why now. Mm-hmm. And in the process over the last couple of years, your organization has developed what has come to be known as the Well Building Standard. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and what the elements of the Well Building Standard are?
Absolutely. So I work with Delos, and Delos is a wellness, real estate, and technology company, which is really exciting. That means that we're in lots of spaces that have to do with creating healthier places for you to live, work, heal, and play. That means everything from hotels to workplaces to schools to hospitals. And inside of that, we really have a huge commitment to research and development. And part of that was the development of the Well Building Standard. And Delos is the pioneer of the Well Building Standard. And now it is administered by the International Well Building Institute. The Well Building Standard really focuses on 7 key concepts that have to do with your health. And so if you just take a step back and ask yourself, how does the physical environment impact my health? Well, it impacts your health by what you're breathing right now. Do you even know if that's good air quality? If you were exposed to carbon monoxide, you wouldn't know until often it's too late. We look at formaldehyde. We look at VOCs. We look at molds in buildings. 1 out of 3 buildings is considered a sick building, according to the World Health Organization. So we really push building professionals to think about how to design for healthy air, which also means increased oxygen in the airflow, decrease in carbon dioxide, and really thinking deeply about how buildings in many places of the world are breathing for you. We also look closely at water quality. So in the Well Building Standard, we'll focus on things such as understanding lead in the water supply. For many places around the world, in the United States, we have amazing, really water sanitation policies and access to clean, drinkable water. But there are also some really big challenges that we face. And I think you'll only see more challenges in water infrastructure in the future. One of those is that although the treatment plant has done their job, is that by the time it leaves the treatment plant, it goes through all those pipes and it reaches your sink, it's also going through old lead pipes. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is we want to make sure to reduce the potential risk of exposure to those inorganic and organic contaminants by looking at filtering water. So we look at water and water access. And of course, your body, the majority of it actually is made out of water. In fact, your brain right now is over 80% water. So water has a lot to do with mood, fatigue. It has a lot to do with even our immune endocrine system and flushing those sometimes toxins out of our bodies. So this is a really important area is water. We also look at light. So we want to make sure light gets in the eye. In Europe, you might be interested to know that it's regulated that you have access to light. Not so much in the States. So our photoreceptors don't know the difference between light sources that we receive, which is really interesting. So if we receive poor light during the day, we don't have an immediate biofeedback loop to say, oh, that was bad light. Rather, it shows up in your sleep. It shows up in your ability to focus. It shows up in your circadian rhythms, alertness, and it shows up in mood. You can always test that by looking at jet lag. So we work really hard at the industry to try to bring light into space. And we think that this is a critical area for manufacturers to rethink about how to get light in the eye, not light in the back of my head. This doesn't help us. Light in the eye. Further, we look at comfort. So comfort, we'll look at ergonomic, we'll look at olfactory comfort. We'll look at issues around acoustical comfort. So for a lot of listeners out there that are working in open office layouts, this may come as no surprise to you whatsoever, but the research is demonstrating that we are interrupted about every 3 to 11 minutes. Some research says it takes us over 20 minutes to get back in that level of concentration. The open office layout or some form of shared spaces is here to stay. We challenge the design industry to rethink about creating spaces that enable people to make choice, to go to where they need to go. Sometimes that's to have more sound interaction. Other times that's to be very quiet and focused. We look very closely at nourishment. So you might be asking yourself, what is a building professional doing talking about nourishment? Well, we think that the way that you design kitchens, cafes, the way that you design space to have vendors come in or catering services or restaurants in your building matters. 75% of what you eat will be within a 5-mile radius of where you live. And so even during the day, what do you have access to? How expensive is it? Highly caloric, dense, and cheap food is out there. So we think there's a way to design for better choices. People can always eat whatever they want to eat in a well building. We're just not going to make it easy to make the unhealthy choice. We want to make it easy to make the healthy choice. So beyond nourishment, there's 2 other categories. The next one is fitness. So this is really important. We want you up and moving. So some general protocols on that or guidelines is every 60 minutes, you want a micro movement, and about every 90 minutes, a macro movement. And that's because sitting is the new smoking. Your cumulative risk over time of being physically inactive is contributing to it being the 4th leading risk factor of death in the world. Quite simply put, humans were never meant to be sedentary. And so even just standing up every hour, taking a short walk to the kitchen or to grab coffee or green tea every 90 minutes is enough to literally change enzyme production, metabolic rate. It sends signals to the brain because it's reoxygenating your blood supply, which helps your prefrontal cortex. That's up here helping you focus. These are all ways that we just want to build in you getting physically active. And so when it comes to trying to design for health, we think, is there a way to design in physical activity and maybe design out guilt? You know, so you're physically active throughout the day and you don't feel like, oh, I didn't go to the gym at the end of the day. Rather, I've had it throughout the day. I've had some physical activity. Your ancestors never went to the gym. You know, they had spouts and interval training where they were moving and then they were recovering. So why can't our modern ecosystem and environment also support physical activity?
Mhm.
And the last concept, maybe one that I think is the most interesting, maybe to your viewers, has to do with mind.
Mm.
So it has to do with mental health. How do we design for mental health? So we're clearly in an era of dealing with opioid addictions. We're looking at stats that say 1 in 2 people will deal with a mental health issue in their life. 1 in 5 are in treatment. The stats for major depressive disorder is 16.6% of the population have major depressive disorder, upwards of 9 years to diagnose. It's here. It's in our workplace. And we know people are dealing with mental health. They're more anxious. They're not managing stimuli. They're overloaded. And this really fascinating burnout thing is happening. So how can design help? A couple of things that we look at have to do with stimuli management, adaptable spaces. We will look at beauty. So of course, beauty is arguably the opposite of injury. So how can beauty heal in this way? We are looking at issues of biophilia. That means humans' innate connection to nature. And it's not just a plant in the room. There's something that we are attracted to around patterns and around times of the day, circadian rhythm, access to nature, green space. And it's a fascinating area. In our research right now, we are showing that almost 100% of people will say that it matters to them to have nature in the office. And very few ever get it.
Mm.
So we're really pushing this is not optional.
Thanks for telling us about all of this, Whitney. I am so excited about this and really am glad that I can help spread the word because it's just so important. We do spend so much time at work. We want work to be a healthy place. We want it to improve the well-being of every individual. And sharing this information is just another step in being able to do that. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.